So I just spoke to my friend who's a doctor in New York City, and he was really at the epicenter of the COVID outbreak going back to like March and April. He's been through it all, he's seen it all. He's now like an expert in how to treat COVID, how to deal with it. He's like one of the top people who's in charge of the ICU. So really this is like honestly one of the top people in the country in terms of dealing with COVID. I talked to him and asked him a bunch of questions about President Trump's case, and I want to share with everybody so you can get a sense of where we're at. The first thing my buddy said to me is that, yeah, being 74 years old and obese, which is what Trump is, that's really, really not good. That he has seen people who are admitted and fit that description and they die. He's seen it. But he has also seen the opposite. He's seen people who are admitted, they're in their 70s, they're obese, and they survive. One of the things he stressed to me is that we're really not going to know what's going to happen with Trump until day 9. He says that day 9 is really when you figure out how bad your case is going to be. This is something that Italian doctors, first noted, and that something that he saw firsthand in the hospital. So everything that's happening now is not the main course. What we're seeing now is really the appetizer. Now, are there instances of people who are totally asymptomatic with COVID? Yes. Are there people who experience symptoms for a day or two and then get better? Yes. But he says in his experience, most people who end up getting admitted to the hospital, it's around day 9 that you really learn how bad it's going to be. So what Trump has going for him is that he's obviously the most powerful person in the world, and he really does have access to the best care possible, and he has people who are on him 24/7. Now, they're already talking about maybe releasing him tomorrow. My buddy says that is absolute lunacy. It'd be the dumbest thing you could ever do. And they flat out shouldn't do it. And it might be the case that they're just doing, their typical White House doctor PR, and they're not really being totally honest. And he says if they do just discharge him, that is a colossal mistake. And it's for a few reasons. So when you have COVID, you need to be in a negative pressure room. I think one of the reasons why is it helps stop the spread of it. So you let him out of a negative pressure room, and it could be that he's the super spreader and everybody around him gets it. So you want to keep him there for that reason alone, but also because I know the White House has a lot of medical stuff that they can do there, but you want to have him at Walter Reed because they have more options when you're at Walter Reed. And for example, if he takes a turn for the worse after, at that 9-day mark, man, you need to be able to intubate him. I don't know if they could intubate him at the White House. I know they could do a bunch of stuff. They could give him oxygen at the White House. But there's also different ways to give oxygen. You could have the tube with the things that go up the nose, or you can go a step up from that. There's ways to get more oxygen in the blood, which actually leads to the most important point and the worst sign, which is Trump's oxygen blood level dropped below 90%. And they say, and my buddy confirms, anything under 94 is really bad. Once you get into the 80s, that's really, really bad. And so one of the questions I asked him is, well, hold on now. If you're telling me by day 9, that's when we know really how bad it's going to be, and we're already early in this sickness, and he already has a blood oxygen level below 90%, isn't that a really, really bad sign? And he basically told me, maybe we're really not going to know until day 9. So it's possible that, he had these symptoms, he is feeling better, and everything will be fine. Or it's very possible that COVID does come in waves for a lot of people, and he could go from feeling terrible to feeling better, to feeling terrible, to feeling better, to feeling terrible, and maybe not getting better. For some people, this lingers for months and months and months. This virus impacts people in a variety of ways that are, it's really unlike any virus we've ever seen in terms of the wide array of symptoms that you can get. But the thing that he really stressed to me the most is that being 74 and obese is horrendous. But that's a little bit offset by the fact that he gets the best care in the world. But But that does also contradict something else he told me, which is he's actually getting the same treatment that people at his hospital get. See, I thought the fact that Trump was getting the blood plasma treatment, the antibody cocktail treatment, that's off-label. That's like a compassionate use. It hasn't been approved yet. But the idea of it is you take somebody who's had COVID, you take their antibodies, and you put it in somebody who has COVID and doesn't have the antibodies, and it helps. And I thought that that was like, something that only Trump is getting because he's the president and not many people can access it yet. Turns out, no, they're already mass producing it. It's already being used in my buddy's hospital. And Trump so far has gotten just the standard stuff that anybody going into my buddy's hospital would have gotten. He got the Regeneron antibody treatment, the blood plasma treatment, which again is off-label use. He got remdesivir, which everybody gets. And he got a steroid that was proven to work. I believe it was in a British study, and he got that. So my buddy says this is exactly what they would give somebody who shows up to his ICU with COVID. So I was actually a little surprised by that it's like the exact same. I would have imagined that they would have maybe tried to go a little above and beyond for Trump. But bottom line is, guys, we're really not going to know how bad it's going to be until day 9. There's already some signs that it could be bad or not. We could have already had the worst symptoms. We really don't know until day 9. And I know that's not the most satisfying answer at the moment, but it is what it is. One thing's for sure, though, if they release him, my buddy says that's absolutely insane. Like, he needs to stay there. He needs to stay there for at least, 10 days so they can closely monitor him. And the fact that he's already had oxygen blood levels below 90%, that's a red flag. And that's another reason why they have to keep him at Walter Reed. It'd be crazy not to. He's already had some oxygen, and this is one of the things that we've seen unfold quite a bit is that you have White House inside sources, some of them anonymous, talking to the media and painting a really bleak picture about his vitals being off and him really being in pain and him thinking he's going to die. That's some of the stuff we're hearing. But then there's plenty of other stuff that we're hearing from the White House doctors, which totally contradicts everything that the inside White House sources are saying, the anonymous sources, if they're real. You don't know. And this gets to my main point is the media lies like crazy, so we can't trust them. But Trump's White House doctors and Trump's administration lies like crazy, so we can't trust them either. So who really knows what the hell's going on? We don't know, and we won't know for quite a while, if at all. So anyway, that's the update on Trump's condition, and obviously we'll be talking a lot more about this upcoming in the next show.